Hey, I'm Randy Younger, New York City's go-to film enthusiast. Every week I dive deep into the world of cinema with special guests from the New York City film scene. Whether I'm interviewing industry insiders or comparing the latest releases, there's always something for every movie lover. Join me as I explore the magic of film and discover what makes these movies unforgettable. Hey guys, I'm Randy Younger, and this is a very special edition of Under the Radar, bringing movies and people together one frame at a time. And with me tonight, I have an Academy Award nominated actor. He is featured in the new film, the new dramedy, The Secret Art of Human Flight. I have Mr. Paul Raci. Hey, Paul, how's it going?
Very well, Randy. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. Thank you for taking the time tonight.
Sure.
So I just saw the film. It's a strange one, that's for sure. Uh,
Yep.
but I did enjoy it. I thought it was very well made. I thought the performances, including your own, were really, really strong. Just curious, how did you get involved with the project?
Well, I was coming off the Oscar nomination. This movie's come out a little bit late, but I was on my way to do a Netflix movie with Jennifer Lopez.
Hmm.
I had 21 days to spare,
Hmm.
which is how these small productions go. They do it in like 21 days, 19 days, 18 days. Same thing with Sing Sing, was
Mhm.
only done in 3 weeks.
Right.
So I decided to do it because I kind of like the script. So just did it. It's one of these small indie type things. And it was kind of, it's fun.
Yeah, definitely. And you seem to be really enjoying yourself in this movie. So that's very apparent.
Oh, cool. Wait,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, what have you got to lose? I got a couple extra days. Let's have some fun here. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
Why not? Why not? I love that attitude. It's a good philosophy of any on any film set.
Oh, yeah.
Um, Now, your role, you play Mealworm, a very
Yeah.
eccentric character. It's curious, how did you get into the mindset of Mealworm? Did you do any special preparation?
Well, uh, not really. What I thought of, the way they had him dressed and everything kind of reminded me of when I moved to Los Angeles. My wife and I were church hopping. We went to a couple of churches and we ran into this international spiritual center
Okay.
where all the ministers dressed like mealworm.
All right.
They were mostly black. It was like a 85% black church.
Hmm.
All the white guys in the choir wore dashikis. It was like this real
Hmm.
free, open thinking place. And the ministers were these guys who were ex-drug dealers, just
Huh.
like mealworm. But they had this charismatic thing happening and had all these followers. And I was happened to be in that church because I thought it was kind of cool. But anyway, Mealworm is a direct ripoff
Okay.
of a guy I met. His name was Nirvana.
Okay.
And
Very
he was,
appropriate.
yeah, well, but he was for real because he brought a lot of people out of their addictions.
Hmm.
He brought the word, not of the Bible, but just this free thinking, everything works kind of attitude. Like it's all good. That's what
Right.
they're
Very
so
zen.
very zen. So
I love.
that's actually I was kind of following a guy that I had actually met in real life.
Oh, that's Nirvana. Okay. Well, I think you did him proud. I really do. Great performance. So I just can't get over how weird this movie is. I love it. It's just so out there. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and the whole idea of flying, and it's crazy, but it's just kind of metaphoric for
Hmm.
of course, the whole thing about letting go.
Right.
And I think my whole life, no matter what I was involved in, that principle kept coming up about, well, just let
Yeah.
go and be free. And it'll probably come to you instead of chasing it. Like you've got to have it. The more that you say, I want this, you don't have it yet.
Mhm.
Unless you start believing that it's actually yours, then you can let go. You know what I mean? It's kind
Yeah.
of a spiritual principle going on there. The more that you say, I want this, means you don't
Right.
have,
I
you
know.
don't
You
have.
just gotta just let it happen. Just step back a little bit and
Oh,
let the chips or the dice fall where they may. Um,
right. or the spiritual chips fall where they may, as I like
Right.
to say.
Nice, nicely done there. So you've got HP Mendoza, fantastic director. He really did a great job here with the film. What was it like working with him?
Great. I loved working with HP. He's a real leader. What I also like about him, he's a musician.
Mhm.
So when you see the movie, it's I always say it's kind of like if you see the movie twice or three times, like I had to going through this whole process,
Mhm.
realize that he's really such a musician. He weaves everything together musically,
Right.
kind of like a conceptual album used to do way back when the Beatles did Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts,
Mhm.
all these concept albums. That's what he does. He's kind of a musical genius. So working with HP, I thought he was great. I'd love to work with him again anytime.
That's awesome. And I see some guitars behind you. I believe are you're a musician yourself, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Talk a little bit about your musical career. What is your passion in regards to
Well,
music?
I've always been into rock and roll. My big man is Iggy. That's my guy.
Okay.
Iggy, David Bowie. Those are the kind of things that I love still. Lou Reed.
Okay.
And my latest band I had, I was, see, I do all my shows in
Okay.
sign language. I have a
Okay.
headphone
Yeah.
and I do them in sign language because a lot of my audience is deaf. So my latest band was a Black Sabbath tribute band.
Okay.
We did 90 minutes of Ozzy, and we were doing that for a couple of years here in Southern California. Had a very big following, had a lot of fun. And unfortunately, my bass player just passed away less than a year ago. And he was only 58 years old. So, man, knock on wood, count
Yeah.
your blessings. Every day's a gift. But anyway, he passed away. So I'm working on another band, which is going to involve a lot more Iggy and David Bowie. But the Black Sabbath thing,
Mhm.
was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Loved that. So I'm more on the heavier side
Okay.
of the part. Yeah,
And so where do you perform in person? Are you forget, are you in LA right now?
I live in LA.
Yeah. So do
There's
you
some rock bars around here that we go to.
that's
Just down and dirty, uh, hard rock
nice.
bar. So kind of fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How deep into the music do you get in regards to your films? Do you work with the composer at all or the
No,
music
not.
supervisor?
I haven't done anything with my music with these films. I just been an actor. So
Mhm.
uh, no, because anything I've done, that's a good question because you would think I might be, but no, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm just this rock scene is my only my. It's kind of like my side thing or
Yeah.
thing that I love to do. Although acting is really where if I had to pick between the two of them, acting is really my love.
That's the number one.
Rock and roll. Like my dad said, you're not going to make any money playing rock.
Well,
You
you've
better
made
have something to back you up.
yeah, yeah.
So
Well, you're doing well with the acting, so keep at that.
yeah,
Keep
yeah, yeah. Might as well. Thank you, man.
um now speaking of actors, you've got Grant Rosenmeyer, who is the lead here with you.
Yeah.
Young guy, very talented actor. What was it like working with Grant?
It's a lot of fun.
You know.
He's he was also the producer on the movie,
Mm,
so he was kind of juggling hats between producing and acting. But Grant's a fine young man,
mhm.
and he's way younger than me, so he's got a couple more years left in him, I think. But he's a good guy.
Good, good. Happy to hear you. The two of you, you really form a bond during this movie, and I definitely love the back and forth. The chemistry is just it's very strong, very apparent. So I want to commend you on that for sure.
Thank you, man.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
absolutely.
Yeah, I have to. I just try to be honestly when I think about working, especially in film. If you don't stay honest and if you're just acting,
Mm,
you're gonna get killed. That camera picks it up. So you
yeah.
got to really be in the moment and be for real.
And I know you've done aside from film, you've done stage and TV. Uh,
Much, yeah,
yeah.
much.
What do you prefer one over the other, or are they kind of much the same animal to you?
To me, well, it is different because when you're doing a play, you're on stage for like an hour and a half, and you got to maintain your uh, concentration.
Right.
So that's how I uh, learned my craft, and that's how I grew up, in Chicago, doing a lot of stage work, a lot of plays. I don't guys that have never done plays and have only done film. I I don't
Hmm.
know. You probably know this. To make that switch the other way around, if you've done film your whole life or TV, and say
Right.
now you can carry a stage play on stage for an hour and a half, they don't make that transition that easily because stage acting is a
Right.
craft. You have
Right.
to learn it and study it. And then if you want to make the transition to film, it's a little easier, especially myself. I didn't do big theater houses. I
Right.
did 99 seat theaters. So it's
Mhm.
really small and contained, and you don't have to do much, just like in film. You just have to like be. And that camera, like I said, catches it.
Yeah.
Same thing in 99 seat theater. You're close enough to see some real shit going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, I'm not an actor. I've done some, work, background work myself, and
Uh-huh.
I had one speaking part in a short film. It's
Ah,
it's tough, and this was a film, so I can't even imagine being in front of a live audience just doing the same thing. That sounds very daunting.
yes. And it's what's cool about it is you're live. And
Yeah.
that's why the Greeks years ago, and the Greeks were doing that amphitheater type of stuff. They always like to have like what they call the didactic experience. Theater was so cool to them. That's
Mm,
all they had, and they tried to learn something. So when you're doing theater
right.
so you're doing a theater every night for a month, every show is different. You can't
Yeah.
have the same thing every night. It's
Right.
different. Film, boom. You got to catch it one time and hope the director got that magic one time. You know,
Right.
theater, you can change. I love theater. It's great.
Yeah. So, I'm out east. I'm in New York City.
Yeah.
Do you ever make your way over here to
I
perform?
just got back from there a couple times for the latest movie I did, Sing Sing. We went to New
Yes.
York for an opening, and
Might I say one of the best movies of the year I've seen so far.
oh, great! I'm so glad you've seen it.
Outstanding.
Yeah,
Thanks largely to you, to Coleman, the director. It's a beautiful the inmates, the former inmates. It was just a great film.
that's a real movie. That's a
Yeah.
real. You
Yeah.
feel something, learn something. Yeah, and like I said, like 9 out of 9 guys out of that cast are all formerly incarcerated at Sing Sing in that program, and now they're graduated and out
That's crazy.
out of incarceration now,
Right.
playing themselves. So it's a beautiful thing. I'm
Yeah.
glad you liked it.
Yeah.
So
And
happy to be involved.
yeah, it was so well made and it's so interesting and thought provoking that this was a true story, and just the emotion that comes out in these acting workshop sessions. It's real. It actually happened. These guys are just reliving it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, I know this interview was supposed to be for The Secret Art of Human Flight, but Sing Sing was fantastic, and I can't, not discuss it tonight.
Oh, you got to give it its due because it's really
Yeah,
going to be very big, and it's already the response is overwhelming. So I'm proud as punch to be in this movie. Yeah, it's amazing. That by the way, the recidivism rate,
Mm,
that meaning when you're in Sing Sing
right,
and when you get out of Sing Sing, the recidivism rate, meaning you'll go back into prison, is something like 76%.
right.
Those are high odds. But if you were involved in that acting program, the recidivism rate is 3%. So it just
Wow.
shows you how acting and digging into your own humanity to investigate yourself makes you a better person.
Yeah.
And they don't go back to prison. So
Yeah.
it's great. We can talk about Sing Sing if you I don't care.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay. Yeah, because these are human beings, and
Yeah.
they're so used to being treated like animals that this is their only glimmer of hope is this program. And that's what your character provides for these guys. Uh, I'm curious, was there like a really strong research period for you? Like how far back did you go back in this program?
When I got there, the actual guy I was playing, Brent, he was on set.
Hmm.
So I got to talk to him.
Nice.
Also, it wasn't my first rodeo working in prisons because I've been a sign language interpreter in Los Angeles and Chicago,
Mhm.
going into prisons and doing interviews with their attorneys and
Mhm.
other things as a sign language interpreter. So the environment was pretty familiar to me.
Okay.
But having the real Brent Buell on set was invaluable because I could see how he was reacting and
Mm.
interacting with the guys and how what kind of a bond they had. So that was really beneficial. So that was a true experience to be involved in. You were just, and again, Sound of Metal that I did a couple years ago, 21 days. This movie, 21 days.
Huh. And
So
it's kind of very similar to the character in Sound of Metal. You know,
yeah,
you're like kind of like this teacher, this mentor who's,
right.
just in charge of a group of
Yeah,
lost individuals, and
right,
you kind
right,
of you make them see the light, basically.
right. I
So
guess I got that character locked up now. I got to move on.
you're
I got to get a horror flick.
you're a little typecast. No, it's a good character. I want to see more of it.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, cool.
Yeah. So, speaking of characters, is there a dream role for you? You're getting all these parts, you're getting all these opportunities. What's the dream role for you?
I've got a couple things working in the future that people are offering me. At my age, playing a guy who's trying to subsist at this age and exploring the how people live in this country as old what do you call it, elderly people
Hmm.
on fixed incomes, things like that. Or I just like to play a badass bad guy, and I have one of those roles coming up soon. So just something a little bit different. I'm from Chicago, so I know a couple of wise guys back in Chicago. So got some things coming up, and also I'm really good at. I studied at Second City in Chicago, so I'm really pretty. They do really well with improvisation and comedy. So hopefully, something down the line is going to put me in a comedy somewhere.
Yeah, I could even see you as like the fatherly figure in a sitcom or something like that. Maybe like a corrupt priest or something. I don't know.
Let's go.
Let's do it. Let's
Let's
write
go.
it. I love it. Oh, so so back to the secret art of human flight.
Yeah,
I can't get over how weird this movie is. It's a spectacle. It's just a fun movie, and even though it does deal with the main character, he loses his wife, and he's just trying to piece together his life and
right.
try to find meaning, and then he comes across you. I don't want to give away the whole story,
Yeah.
but it's very quirky. It's very weird. I'm curious, what do you hope audiences take away from it?
Well, I think one thing that you should look for if you're watching this movie, it's a movie about grief,
Mm.
and I think what you have to understand, or what I thought more about, is everybody grieves in their own way. You
Mm.
can't say to somebody, "Hey, snap out of it and do it the way or go pray, or let
Yeah,
me pray with you."
right.
I think it's more like just be with that person,
Mhm.
be with them while they're going through what they're going through, but don't tell them how to do it.
Yeah.
Everybody grieves in their own way, and that's what Ben Grady's doing. He's trying to, um, he's grieving, but his thing, he latches on to this nutcase mealworm,
Yeah.
and if that helps you uh, ease your mind or put a bomb on your mind, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Just be understanding of that. I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very heavy topic, obviously, death, but it's told in a very tasteful and tactful way.
Right.
And in many points, it's actually a very funny movie.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
for me, on my show, what I love to review dramedies, the combination of what's serious and what's hilarious,
Yeah.
kind of mesh together to create a beautiful story, some beautiful
Yes.
art, because that's what life is. Life is
Yeah.
just one big dramedy. So I'm curious, what are your thoughts on the term dramedy?
Yeah, I agree with you that there is a fine line you can go back and forth. And I don't hate to digress again, but when you saw Sing Sing, did you see it in the theater with people, or did you get a screener, or what?
No, I saw it in the theater. Yeah.
Right. I've seen it in the theater a couple of times. I'm amazed at the amount of laughs that it gets.
Yeah.
Here are these guys in this situation, and they're saying stuff that's funny.
Yeah.
Going, trying to put this crazy play on,
Yeah.
So there's a it's not a dramedy, but there's sure a lot of laughs in it.
Yeah.
Secret Art, he's in the middle of grief, and yet this weird guy with the long hair and the robe comes over, and they're having these strange conversations about life, and
Right.
so it. I think you appreciate the seriousness more if you can get a release of
Mhm.
laughter every now and then.
Yeah, you need that. You need some levity in the most serious of
In the
prison.
most yeah, yeah,
A little bit, every sprinkled throughout the film, really just helps the audience digest the story and all that.
right. A little just to take the air out of the balloon a little, so you can just breathe, and then okay, now we can move on to the next serious part.
Right. So just want to go back a few years. So Sound of Metal,
Yeah.
obviously a triumphant, undertaking, a really successful film. And I know that you were brought up learning sign language, American Sign Language.
Right, right.
So what was it like getting into that film? What was it like getting involved with Sound of Metal?
Well, my parents were deaf. I grew up in deaf culture. Before Sound of Metal, I was a struggling actor in Los Angeles, but I was working full time as a court certified sign language interpreter in the court system,
Right.
which is when I had access to all these prison interviews.
Mm.
So um, that's uh, so coming out of that situation and then going into Maine to do this movie and work as a leader of a sober house.
Mhm.
I've been there a
Yeah.
million times. I've been in them. I've led them. I'm a former alcoholic myself. So it's all this stuff. So I really didn't have to prepare too much for Sound the Metal. That got, but I'll tell you what, I have been writing a screenplay of my own character for years.
Okay.
Everybody said, "Oh, why don't you write a screenplay? Why don't you write a screenplay of your life?" And I did. And then this guy writes Sound the Metal. And I'm like, you know what? Got nominated for an Oscar. He wrote that character. I did it. I don't have to write my screenplay anymore. It was something, but uh,
Yeah.
everything that I lived is in that character, Joe. Everything.
Great. And that's what earned you the nomination. Just
Right.
a total dedication to the part, kind of pulling from real life experience. I think
Absolutely.
every successful performance should draw from reality. And
Right.
that's definitely what Sound of Metal did. Uh, what was it like hearing the news that you were nominated?
Just it was life changing
Hmm.
because it's just a real. I mean, here I've been all these years working 40 years as a journeyman actor, 40 over that, and then to get the recognition. I mean, it changed my life.
Hmm.
It gives you a validation and it just added 20 years to my life. Been around a long time, but so I'm pumped. I'm ready to go. I
Good.
love it. Yeah.
I love it. Better late than never, right? But yeah.
Hey, for me, in my case, it's fine. Look at my face. Look how old I am. You know what I mean? But all the experience that I've lived is right there. So
Yeah.
when the camera hits me, let's go.
Yes, it's a presence.
Yeah.
And so you are a CODA, or is it CODA? I don't know how you
Coda.
CODA, yeah.
Child
So
of Deaf Adults.
right. And I just want to mention real quick the film. I think it was nominated a year after you were nominated, but the film
Yeah.
CODA, that
The
one
year after.
year after, it won Best Picture.
Yes.
Fantastic film,
Yeah.
obviously dealing with a deaf community, a deaf family, and a
Yes.
hearing child. What was it like watching that film? What was your interpretation?
Emotional because that is my life. The parallels between my life and the little girl, the girl in the movie.
Right.
I was a musician and loved radio, loved music, and it was hard for me to convey why I loved it so much to my parents who were just deaf. My father wanted to know what I used, back in the 70s, 60s, I bought albums all the time, right? I had stacks of albums, stacks and stacks of those big albums, the Beatles, the Stones, everybody. My dad's like, my deaf father's like, why are you buying so many of these albums?
Hmm.
I'm like, "'Cause they're all different. He goes, they're all, to me, he says they look the same. It's a thing like this with pictures of guys all playing guitar. Ah, you know,
Yeah.
so hey, but you just it's just all life enriching experiences to be have empathy for somebody else.
Yeah.
Like my parents, for them, everything was the
Right.
visual. My father loved going to the cinema for John Wayne movies because
Yeah. A
shit,
lot of action. Yeah.
man.
Makes
But
sense.
if it was, yeah, yeah.
All right. What are your thoughts regarding deaf cinema, the future of deaf people in the
Oh,
world?
it's totally changed. Sound of Metal and then Coda, especially. There are, for me, there are so many deaf actors out there,
Mm,
men and women, right now. More and more and more. There's plenty of them in Los Angeles. There's a lot of them in New York. These deaf actors can now be made more visible and have more of a presence in our industry. I mean, there are deaf people all over the place. There's also deaf people that want to work behind the camera,
okay.
want to be in the industry. So I hope to see more and more of them. I think that's what's going on right now. There's a lot of productions happening right now that are involving deaf people. I've got a production company and we're working on a few projects. I hope one of my projects is going to be coming out soon. It's got a deaf character in it. That is the lead character, just happens to be deaf. So
Okay.
we'll see. We'll see. But it's a lot's
Well,
going on with deaf people right now.
well, I'll tell you, a couple of years ago, I interviewed Troy Kotzer
Yeah.
on the red carpet of a film at
Uh,
the Tribeca, and what a that was one of the greatest, most emotional interviews I've ever conducted because his documentary was about his life with his father.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
started to talk about my father, and we had
Uh,
a serious bond in that moment. And it might have been the most emotional interview I've ever conducted. Just a beautiful man, really sweet, genuine guy. I hope one of your projects that you're working on now features Troy because he's a fantastic actor.
Well, I've worked with him many times on stage
Oh, I didn't know that.
at
Okay.
the Deaf West Theater in Los Angeles, way back in 1993, I believe it was,
Oh, wow.
or 94. We did Of Mice and Men.
Oh
Uh,
my gosh.
he was Lenny, and I was what's the other guy's name. But anyway, we did
Yeah.
Mice and Men. We've done American Buffalo together. Troy Kotz and I are acting buddies. We've worked together many times, so we have a good chemistry between us. He is a truly a great actor.
Yeah.
And I'm not surprised that you guys got emotional because Troy is very present. And
Hmm.
you guys probably connected right here with the eyes. And I'm sure he felt your emotion in
Yeah.
that moment also. So yeah, Troy and I, there's something in the cards for us. We'll see about that.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
that'd be awesome. So you hinted at a couple of projects. Is there anything you can discuss right now? Any upcoming films, TV?
Uh, I will say I can't talk about I'm working on a couple of films. I got to be tight-lipped, but the TV show we're doing a comedy.
Mm.
Uh, it's kind of like uh, well, I can't. It
No.
it it involves very few, like one or two deaf people. Everybody else is hearing, so you're going to see what it's like for them to live in the hearing world, and it's funny as hell. So
All right.
just to create some empathy. Yeah,
Looking forward to that.
yeah,
And yeah, so for people to see The Secret Art of Human Flight, it is
yes,
currently available on demand.
yes.
So people should check it out, especially if you like quality indie cinema. It's a fun movie. It's actually very deep and personal, and it's got fantastic performance, one of which by Mr. Raci here. So, Paul, I want to thank you so much for your time tonight. This is
Yeah,
incredible.
appreciate you, man. You're
Yeah,
awesome.
this was a lot of fun. All right, guys, I'm Randy Unger. This has been Unger the Radar, bringing movies and people together one frame at a time. We'll see you next time. Take care.